But I was thinking,
Mhm.
we are into the topic. Have we talked about religion at all?
Not really.
Big podcast money.
Let's talk about
Let's talk about that. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let's talk about that. I'm your co-host Tony,
and I'm Martin. And what to talk about today, Tony? What's the thing?
After our last episode where we talked about such a controversial subject that people have people have such strong feelings about. We thought we'd take a step back to something, that nobody ever has had strong feelings about.
And no one has ever been discriminated by this.
Yes, absolutely. We're just going to have a nice, lighthearted conversation about religion.
yeah, that's true. We want a lighthearted discussion or episode about religion, and yeah, nothing offensive, nothing, just our ignorance and lack of knowledge, I guess. What's your experience with the five, 6 or 7, the major religions around? I mean, there is a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, I was sort of brought up Christian, as I think is, probably usual. We were always in more liberal style, liberal sects of Christianity. The Lutheranism, we Lutheran Church. We did a UCC, which is a Universal Church of Christ. Which is a very open and accepting sort of sect. And my wife was brought up Methodist, which is the kind. There's like multiple kinds of Methodism, but this is the kind that is also very. It's very permissive and very open and very accepting, and not super strict. So neither of us have really like strict religious upbringing. But so neither of us are super religious. These days, I generally classify myself as an agnostic. Whereas my wife is much more of a she would, I think, classify herself as a Christian at this point. But of course, we've had exposure to some other religions as well. We have some of our best friends are actually a Muslim couple. So we've had I should say some of my my family, my parents, that family growing up, we're really close friends with this one couple. And I don't know that I've had actually I've got in terms of Judaism, I've actually got a lot of Jewish heritage. My grandmother was a Russian Jew. So I've got some of that from my dad's side, although we don't, we're not practicing in any way. Although, growing up, we observed and sort of celebrated some of the things like Hanukkah.
Yeah, sure.
Stuff like that. Can't say I've had a lot of exposure to Hinduism or Buddhism. Outside of Buddhism is outside of some of my studying of Asian stuff in college and stuff like that. So yeah, what about you?
Well, I guess I'm not brought up as anything, I guess. I was baptized as a Christian. I guess that's kind of more tradition than anything. And, because Norway is a Christian country, same as the USA. And is it called confirmation? You do that when you're 14? I think it's
confirmation.
Yeah. when I'm 14, I did that Christian way. I guess that's also based on tradition, and everyone else was doing it. In Norway, we have this humanetics way we can do it too, which is not in the church. And yeah, so and I've I've come to the point, and I think I've always never believed in anything. So I would say I'm an agnostic too, kind of. Yeah. It's I mean, I can't disprove anything. I can't prove anything, so I can't say that this is or this isn't. But I haven't experienced too much religion, to be honest. Just Christianity and some Muslim here and there. I've been into a couple of Catholic churches and stuff like that in Lithuania and in Poland, and they're magnificent. I mean, those religious structures are amazing. And I was kind of a fan of Buddhism. Well, we had that as a topic at school. I really like that thing of just being one with yourself, kind of thing. I like the thought of that. Yeah. And Hinduism I never really understood, because it's like over 1,000 gods, but I like the creation stories from different religion, even if it's from the Norse mythology or Hinduism, or I like the creation stories. It's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's also interesting all the similarities, just from it makes you wonder, like, that all these sort of, shared religions or shared mythologies have some of these like shared events, like, for example, a giant flood. Like, that is something that is not unique to Christianity. It's depicted in a lot of different stories, and I think that's really interesting. I wish I could know. What
it's the same with all the pyramid structures around the world that are built at the same time or with thousands of years apart, and where people didn't have connection to that part of the world, but the same structure is built over. It's interesting. And it's built in a religious way too. So, but some things that people might not know, or people do know more of it now, is that the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, all have the same God.
Yeah,
it's the same God, and it's the same. It's kind of the same creation story, and it's why hate on each other because you believe in a different story after the creation when you believe in the same God. I mean, it's I tell you a fairy tale and you tell Vincent a fairy tale, and when he tells that to his children, it will be a different fairy tale.
Yeah,
I kind of look. This might be kind of offensive to some, but I'm a critic to religion and stuff like that. I always like to find the story behind the stories, kind of. Yeah.
I mean, I think, you gotta, both of us are skeptical, not in a bad way, but just, there's just a healthy skepticism, about how that sort of stuff goes. And, people take things on faith, and that can be good, but it's really tough because once you take something on faith, there's really no dissuading you from it. And sometimes people get brought up in a way that they take some really damaging ideas on faith. And that's troublesome. But as you brought up, it's always interesting to me that, I mean, it's sort of funny that I think, if you asked a lot of people what's the opposite of Christianity, they'd probably say Islam. Despite the fact that actually Islam is in terms of their mythology, it is one of the most compatible with Christianity.
Yep.
Islam acknowledges Jesus. It acknowledges him as the Son of God.
And
Like,
that is something, I mean, even not Judaism does that. They do
Yeah.
not acknowledge Jesus as the Son of God. And it's really interesting to see how religious people have so little knowledge of their own religion. Yeah, it's try to do that in a work way. Try to be a computer engineer with that little knowledge about your own work.
Yeah.
It
Well,
wouldn't go. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely. I remember. I remember. So both my wife and I in college, because we went to the same college and we were part of the same curriculum. Both of us had to take a class called Biblical Traditions that really looked at the Bible and like put things in context of when they were written, what was going on when they were written. And like a big part of that is like the Gospels, the four Gospels, which you come to learn are written by these different people, sometimes hundreds of years after the life and death of Jesus. And like, so I remember though, it was like one of the first summers after that when we were dating, we were on vacation in Wisconsin with my family, and we overheard this guy talking about the Bible and the Gospels and how, like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was very clear that he viewed the Gospels as being people that were like literally Jesus's contemporaries, like just sitting there writing down his words.
Yeah, I think
wife,
that's a mistake done by many.
Yeah, and my wife tried to engage him on it and say, well, actually, this and this, but he kind of shrugged it off, of course, and blah blah blah. And I think that was one of the times where she really realized how people aren't interested in information; they just want confirmation on what they believe.
Yeah, and you can find confirmation about what you believe, no matter what you believe.
I remember for me, there was a summer. One of a big eye-opening thing to me was one of my summer jobs during college. We often went out to a restaurant and had some like appetizers and stuff afterwards. And one of my coworkers, kind of an oddball, but he was talking about like, his sort of like religion, which was some sort of weird like. It was some sort of weird Christian thing, but it involved like New Jerusalem coming down from space, and it was very bizarre.
Oh, it was one of those.
Yeah, it was one of the crazy ones, and I think that's what it was. Is he was saying how much he hated public schools because they taught evolution.
Yeah, they taught the facts.
And I asked him, oh, so the reason for that is, because I was just trying to understand, like the reason for that is, right, that, your belief is that, God created the animals perfect already, and why would they need to change, right? And and I don't know, somehow in this conversation, I came to realize that he didn't talk about this stuff in, this is what I believe, It wasn't, oh yeah, I believe that because of that. It was, this is the truth.
Yeah,
there is no other truth. Yeah. It's not about what I believe. This is just the truth.
And you're stupid to not know this.
Yeah. And that to me was eye-opening, that people can't talk about what they believe as what they believe, like some people can't. I'm sure, obviously there's all sorts of different people, but
yeah, sure. But some of the, what I will probably call maniacs, because they not have their eyes open to anyone else, anyone else's opinions and thoughts and beliefs. They're too narrow-minded to see the world or see the world around them. At least they're just going that lone path, and it's damaging to themselves and the people around, I would say, to not.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's also crazy to me of course you've got the zealots out there that people right now, especially, I think of terrorists as Islam is religion of terror and
Oh,
stuff like that.
I have a small story about that, because
Yeah.
my coworker, as I mentioned in the previous episode, he was Muslim, and when we first got to talking, he said that he was from Afghanistan, but he moved to Iran to get away from the military and the terrorists organizations and all that stuff, and he started talking about how they destroyed everything, and then I asked him if he knew about the Crusades, and he haven't even heard about the Crusades.
Really?
So I showed him some pictures that were, of course, they were painted, and what happened, that they just went through lands and just slaughtered everyone who wasn't taking the cross to the heart, and that wasn't eye-opening for him, I guess. At least it seemed to be like the Christianity was so brutal once, and it still is, but in a different way. It's history repeats itself. It tends to be.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to, I think at some point I was wondering, because of course, Islam is a newer religion than Christianity. By I don't remember exactly how many years, but yeah, you kind of wonder if they go through like a phase like this, because of course we had the Crusades, we had like the Spanish Inquisition, we had all that sort of stuff that these days. I'm not saying that there's nothing like that, but it is for the vast majority, I would say, and again, I may be ignorant here, but the vast majority of like of sort of Christian nations, you don't quite have that level of brutality anymore, and you wonder if that's like a phase that's happening with Islam, and not that obviously the vast majority of Islamists, the vast majority of Muslims, that's the word, hate the people that do these awful things in the name of their God, because they realize it's abhorrent to their God. But yeah, I don't know. I think I went off the rails there.
Yeah,
So
but we got what you meant, I think. I mean, there is few people who normal people, I would call them normal people, that agree with using power to make people believe what you believe in, and are slaughtering people for not having a long beard or whatever. There was this interview with a guy who is kind of a funny interview, I would say. He was interviewed by some international news agencies thing. He came from a town that I think was in Syria or something, where ISIS previously occupied his city, and they asked him what was it like, and he said it was awful. They took all our food and they made us grow beards, and that was kind of the main thing. He had to have a beard, long beard. That was kind of the worst thing. So they made this little thing kind of funny, and if you're mad at people and you force them to grow beards, yeah. You have to figure out something better. I mean, try to accept people instead, and try to convince them with other stuff. I mean, you can't force people to believe things. It's not possible. You have to convince them. You can't force people to believe things. It's they can say they believe it, but you can't force it upon people to believe things.
Yeah.
And religion should be optional. And if you were brought up in a strict religious family and you figure out that I do not believe this stuff, then you should be accepted as that. Yeah.
There's you bring up the idea of not being able to force someone to change their beliefs, and honestly, you can't even necessarily force yourself to change your beliefs.
No.
Like there's a famous thing out there, I think it's called Pascal's wager, which is essentially like, if you don't know whether or not there's a God, then it basically shows logically that you should believe in God, because if you whatever, if you don't believe in him and there isn't a God, it's fine. But if you don't believe in God and there is a God, then you're risking hell, and that's just not a wager that's worth taking.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I can't, like, I could say I believe in the Christian God or whatever, just in the form that Christianity presents it. But like, if God was God, he would know that that's not, I'm not like that. I don't truly believe it. My life and my life experiences have not led me to a place where that is something that I believe. I'm open to it. Like, I'm open to some form of the Christian God or another God or something like that. But like, yeah, I just think it's interesting, this idea that, well, just change your beliefs. Well, I can't
Yeah.
change my beliefs.
No, you
You know,
can't.
I can accept, like, if someone showed me that Christian God was absolutely real, probably I'd change my belief. And whether or not I change my beliefs, it would change how I acted upon my beliefs. And that's the thing we can do, is like, and I think that's what comes down to it. You can't change your beliefs, but you can understand that they're beliefs. And I think that's a critical part to, like, just getting along with people of different religions and stuff like that, is, understand these are my beliefs. The other person may not hold them. That doesn't mean they think I'm a bad person. Doesn't mean they think I'm wrong. That they understand that that's, what I believe. I don't know.
It's a tricky thing. I mean, if you're brought up in a strict religious family or community, and you are taught that this is fact and this is how things are, and then you meet someone who says, no, but I've been taught this way, then you automatically would say that, oh my God, this guy is wrong. I have to teach him the right way. And that's exactly, that is wrong. It's a wrong thought. I mean, you said, okay, why does he believe that? And I've been taught this. What's his or her reason to believe different than me? Yeah, I think that's crucial.
Yeah, well, and just I think historically it's shown, when it comes to the sort of battle between knowledge and understanding and religion, like, over time, knowledge and understanding has sort of won out. The a lot, some, a lot of stuff, and again, I learned this, in college, about, studying the Bible and studying the context of what's around it. Like, there are things that are just, that came from a place of ignorance back then, in an attempt to explain something, or codify some sort of safety protocols. Like, there's a lot of that sort of stuff in the Bible too. The stuff about, like, don't wear this or eat this or whatever. A lot of the times it's because there's very practical reasons behind that.
Yeah, and you shouldn't kill. You should love your kin, or whatever it says in English. Everything is basically common sense and good morals to have, and it's not, your morals does not come from religion. That's really important. I would say that some people say that, oh, you don't have a religion, then where is your morals come from?
Yeah, that is.
Go to bed again, please. Go take a nap, because that's just that's ignorance right there.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that argument before too, that it's like, without religion, how can you have ethics? How can you have morals?
Yeah, and when I hear that argument, I think, oh wow, I've lost this argument, because there's no way I can argue with someone who can't see two sides of a story. The best arguments I've had is from when both people can see both or several sides from one perspective. Yeah. But yeah, I was thinking about one thing. I don't know if you've seen this documentary with Morgan Freeman, where he tried to find God, I think, where he visits different kinds of religion and try to see how people meet God and stuff like that. And he visits an very old religion. There are not many who still practices this, but they have or their religion is kind of the first religion who had a hell or something like that. And when religion, they develop over time, and it's believed that when the people who believed in or was Jews came to this place and they learned about their religion, hell was put into Judaism as a place for punishment, and I think that's a historical fact, that hell came after heaven in Judaism, because Judaism is older than Christianity. We all know that, and it's before this you wasn't punished for what you did.
Sure.
But after this, it developed to be this hell thing with demons and all that stuff. The demons came in that's too pretty new. I mean, it's from after the year 1000 or something, where some priests or whatever they were wrote what they thought hell was, and all the description about who guarded this and who was in charge, and all the demons and what they stood for, on the 7 princes of hell to depict the 7 deadly sins and all that stuff. It's really really interesting to me, and I guess it's the same with many religion, not just Christianity and the Abrahamic religions. Yeah.
It's
history.
History. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. There's so much history there, because for so many thousands of years, religion played this very critical role in a lot of societies. It was Catholicism was a huge deal, which
the Pope had more influence or more power than any king, and if the king of said country wasn't aligned with the Pope, he was in trouble. Yeah,
I was going to mention, by the way, when I was it was right when I was 15, my band went on my school band went on a trip to Italy one summer, and I actually got to go to Vatican City, and I actually was at a mass that was I was at a mass in Vatican City given by then Pope John Paul II.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I couldn't understand a word of it because it was all in Latin. But
yeah, but it's not. I mean, I do not believe in any God, but I'm fascinated about or fascinated the religion, the aspect of everything, all the history and all the devotions people have to their religion and their God and their beliefs. It's really fascinating to me, and I respect everyone who believes, who have the ability to believe in stuff. But yeah,
absolutely. Like there's a part of me that sometimes wishes I did believe, because I think it would be very comforting to have that belief. To have that belief that if I live a good life, that I've got this, eternal glorious heaven, waiting for me.
But then again, why would anyone want to live forever?
Yeah, I mean that's true, but I guess maybe real paradise is so good that you can't tell.
Yeah,
that maybe you want to once you get there.
It's the heaven and hell, death thing is the tricky topic. It's a tricky topic because I would say that I do not fear death. I rather fear what I leave behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do not fear being dead, because for me being dead is it's just the same as before I was born.
Yeah.
But it's more for those I leave behind. That's
That's
the worrying part for me.
You hit the nail on the head for me. I mean, I can't say that I'm not at all afraid of death. However, as someone who, as we've talked about previously, is super into really likes paranormal stuff,
You would
I'm
like
kind
to
of
be a ghost.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, like that. I can finally figure out what happens after you die. Like,
yeah.
there's like from a purely like rational standpoint. Like, I have an academic fascination with it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
you
mean,
know,
who
we got
doesn't?
kids.
This is a topic no one knows the truth to. The same as
Yeah.
with but things like the wormholes and the black holes in space. We will be able to know it, but death, I don't think we ever will be able to know
Yeah.
what happens, because when you're dead, you're dead. And
Mhm.
every single signal stops from your brain, so we can't measure anything, we can't see anything on any fancy cameras or sound equipment. It's just nothing.
Yeah. That's. I mean, I think I've said before. That's part of why I'm so interested in the paranormal. Is like, if I experience a ghost, like that says so much, like that just raises so many fascinating possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, if I could be like at the point where, at least for me personally, my belief is that ghosts are absolutely 100% real.
Mm-hmm.
That just brings up so many interesting possibilities.
Yeah.
But anyways, this isn't the paranormal episode.
No, well,
And
we've had that one, but we will get back to some of the more popular topics eventually.
yeah, absolutely.
I see the most popular episode we've had to this day is of course our first episode is on the top, but also hobbies and conspiracy theories.
Really?
Those are on the top among some others, but yeah, conspiracy theories grew rather fast to be on top.
Interesting.
So yeah, so that's a topic people like. Yeah, maybe we'll do that later on.
Got our mascot here.
Yeah,
You can see.
hello.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I forgot you can't speak.
He is a sweetheart who likes being held, which is crazy for a cat. But.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we've reached about the end of our time here, and we've basically covered 100% of religion, and now you know everything.
As we do with all topics, we kind of touch everything in the topic and talk about everything that is to talk about.
Yep. 100%. If we didn't talk about it, it's not religion.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we mentioned God, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we said his. I think we said it.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about any of his names though.
No.
Yahweh.
Beelzebub. No, that's what's the other one.
That's the other one.
That's the other one.
Yahweh or Elohim or Allah.
Yeah,
but anyways,
something like that. Yeah. People, hit the subscribe button, please, and the notification bell, and write us a comment. Write us a comment.
Tell us how offended you are by all the things we've said.
Yeah, and we will see if we can apologize for it some other time. Yeah.
As much as I'm joking, actually, if anyone was offended, I would be interested in knowing why.
Yeah, why and when and everything, because that's also a topic to talk about. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, all of you have a good day out there, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye, people.
Bye-bye.